Parmeshwari Vrishabhanusutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There's a microphone on. Switch it off, please. Still mic on. Narayana namaskrityam naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim yasam tato chayamudirayat nastapreshu abhatreshu nitya bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shlokir bhakti bhavati naishtiki. Please switch off your microphones. Otherwise I cannot speak. There's always some noises. So today we continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 7. English. This lecture will only be in English. So there's also today's verse is Vasudeva Bhagavati. The previous verse was Savai Pumsham Parodhamo Yato Bhaktira Dokshache Ahaitukiya Pratiyata Yayatma Suprasidati. Actually, these two verses and also the next ones, they Sutta Goswami replies or answers the first two basic questions of by the sages of Naimisharanya. What is the highest occupation for human beings to follow and also to achieve? And also, what is the essence of all scriptures? There are many scriptures. Everyone has their own siddhanta or statements, but they emphasize according to the individual author and his realization, and also for the public, what a certain author wants to inspire. Or Haribol, switch off your mics, but don't tell it now at a fourth time. Otherwise I can end the class. Somebody is speaking now.
I haven't got the mic on.
Again, the mic is on.
From who?
I don't know. From you maybe.
Bhakti, molim vas, ko imate korisnička imena 111, Bhakti Sanga i Makeši Kusumi, kada isključite mikrofon. Hvala vam.
To možeš i ti da uradiš kao host, samo odeš tamo kod mikrofona. Na more.
Okay, let's see. So anyway, so therefore there are different scriptures according to author and the public or persons whom they want to guide or inspire in a certain direction. So even 5,000 years ago, it was an issue. because even in the Vedic literatures, there are so many different opinions. Tarko pratishta shruteya vibhina, nashaurishi aryasam matam na binam. So there are different opinions. Sage or rishi means has to have an opinion, and mostly it has to be another opinion than the previous ones. So there's always competition. Like nowadays we have competition in Olympics and in championships on bodily exercises or powers, showing our powers. But previously the championship was based on scripture. So of course it was mostly worldly scholarship. not based or focused on the highest goal. So therefore the sages of Naimisharanya, they were fed up with these different kinds of opinions of worldly philosophers, rishis and sages and knowers who were mostly jnanis. So they wanted to know something more higher, because they understood that it doesn't give satisfaction to the heart, and actually not even to the mind and the senses. If one only hears always different opinions and always have to argue which one is right and take any side, it's like a political party. So it doesn't give satisfaction. It actually only leads to ashanti. That means not peaceful mind. And the mind actually likes to be peaceful. Originally is in mode of goodness. So he likes shanti. He likes to be peaceful. But in this world, because of when one comes in contact with the gunas, especially rajas and tamas, and even with goodness, then one comes always pushed around whoever has a louder voice and more people who follow him, like animals following the leading animal. So they become very popular for some time, like shooting stars. Everyone is admiring them, but how long they will stay, then they will disappear, another shooting star will come. So this kind of showing power by having many followers, especially nowadays in Facebook and internet and also in YouTube. One is considered popular if you have 100,000 or, if possible, millions of clicks. Then you are good. Then I also click. If somebody only has 4 or 5 or 50 clicks, then maybe not interesting. It's not very popular. So the people only look on clicks. They don't look. They don't listen. They don't want to experience and actually find out by themselves, but to hear. It's not only those who are popular are telling the truth. And those who have lesser popularity, that they're maybe not so much good. Actually, in Kali Yuga, and in this day, it becomes more and more crystallized that that what is considered good or religious is considered fanatism or something out-fashioned. It's not modern. It's from old time. And that what is bad or irreligious, they accept. They accept. So on that we can see nowadays more and more degradation is going on, and it is even propagized. propagandiert. How we say in Serbia? Propagandia. Advertise. How to make advertise. Actually, propaganda is not a good word, because as soon you know somebody makes propaganda, oh, he's canvassing for something. Therefore, nowadays they packed, or how say they put the word propaganda in another modern, fashioned word, and therefore, instead of propaganda, we have PR, public relation. So therefore, nowadays, you practically don't hear about propaganda. You only hear about public relation. And everybody has a PR system behind him. And according to how much money somebody has, he can hire a lot of PR agents for very much psychological and so-called intelligence, who know how to manipulate the public so that to push a certain agenda and a certain process that they consider this is what the people has to go on now. But we cannot see nowadays that the propaganda or the PR is very much successful in propagating or in advertising pure God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Especially before Srila Prabhupada came, who knew about Krishna consciousness? Nobody, practically. Only some Indologists who went to India in the 19th century, some Germans and English and Americans and Canadians, and maybe some French also, French people. They went to India to study the scriptures to find out what is actually this Hindu scripture. Actually, the purpose was because they were mostly Christians, to study the scriptures, to ultimately declare that these scriptures is only mythology. This is not something real. It's like fairy tale, like Märchen, like fantasy. It's not. It has nothing to do with reality. So therefore, they consider Vedic literatures, the Puranas, and the Mahabharata and other scriptures. This is not relevant for our modern time. Therefore, we need our modern philosophers. And they're rejecting Veda, and they're establishing their own so-called knowledge, and declare that is knowledge. This is now modern knowledge. But according to Bhagavad Gita and according to the Bhagavatam, we understand knowledge is always knowledge and ignorance is always ignorance. So ignorance can never become knowledge, especially in the Bhakti Granta. Please sit down. Especially not in the civilized human society. It should be one should accept a process that it leads us to understand the purpose of our human form of life. But actually, everything has a purpose. In modern civilization, we all work and do something because it has a purpose. It's a need there. But in Vedic literatures, we think, oh, there's maybe another need. No, this is not very helpful. Therefore, most of the scientists or the intelligent people, they're not working in the direction of understanding God and the goal of life. They deal about so many subject matters, sometimes not even very favorable for the world. So the real scientists are actually the rishis, the sages. Of course, they're not only in India, there were also many sages in the Greek time, Roman time, in China, and everywhere actually there were sages, rishis or knowers who were actually looking after solution to this material life and what is actually the supreme goal. But because they were still in the duality, they were not really pure transcendental. So therefore, they actually didn't come to a real satisfactory conclusion. So the real satisfactory conclusion for Siddhanta, we only can get from Bhagavad Shastra, Vedic scriptures. Therefore, the sages from Naimisharanya, they approached Sutta Goswami and they asked him, no, please, because you are the most learned amongst us, you are very wise and very experienced, and you were always very chaste, very faithful followers of your gurus, of your superiors, Guru Varg. So please tell us what you considered from all your studies and what you heard, what you consider the best occupation to follow, and which scriptures you would recommend for this age, for the people to follow, especially for those who like to follow, to find out some alternative to this tabernacle or of this confusion of crazy world in coming Kali Yuga. It was spoken 5,000 years ago, so now we are facing it more and more. The fact, but the Bhagavatam is actually the best medicine. It's actually like sunshine. Sunshine is also medicine. Although we hear us, oh, be afraid of the sun because the sun gets more hot and hot and hot. So don't look in the sun. Yeah, right. Don't look in the sun at midday. But the morning sun is very good. The evening sun is very good. And but the sun is in general very good. It's not bad. In the creation, everything is good. The creation doesn't work against Krishna and Krishna's interest. It's Krishna's energy. So therefore, if we are accepting the plan by Krishna, that's dharma. Therefore, Vyasadeva, from the very beginning of Bhagavatam, he kicked out Kaitava Dharma, Dharma Kaitava. Yarmatsaranam Satam. Because everything that is based on my opinion is better than even Krishna's opinion. Then this Kaitava Dharma. And the greatest cheating of Kaitava Dharma is established by Kaviraj Goswami, by Sridhar Swami, by the Bhagavatam itself, by Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Bhagavatam. The greatest cheating of religion, cheating religion, Kaitava Dharma, is to propagate and to make advertisement just for attaining liberation in the impersonal, in the Brahman. But that's not the Siddhanta of the Bhagavatam. That's only partially as true. Because that the sun sheds light, this is the truth. We cannot separate the light from, but we cannot separate the light from the planet sun. And we can also not separate the planet sun from the sun god, from Surya Dev, who is the king of the sun. He's the chief deity or the avatar of the sun planet. And because of the sun planet, we can see. So if you only look at the sunshine, then of course you become blind, because you only see white light after some time. Everything is, you don't see form anymore. If you look long time in light, you don't see anymore. Therefore, those who look too much only in the Brahmajyoti, then of course they will become impersonalists and they see everything as one. but the devotees, the Vaishnavas, who are followers of Bhagavata Dharma, they're not, they don't let themselves blind of the Brahman, blinded by the Brahman, by the light effulgence of the Lord, because they let themselves, because they're enlightened not by the Brahman, by the impersonal Brahman, they're enlightened by the Shastra, the scriptures. Krishna is Vadamapagate, Dharma Jnana Visaha, Kalonasta Dishamesha, Purunarko Dunoditaha, Iharam Iva Bhaskara. So Bhagavatam, and the sense of Bhagavatam, Bhakti, is like sunshine. And when the sunshine arises, then naturally darkness, ignorance disappears. Like the devotee in the Ishopanishad, he prays, "My dear Lord, please remove this curtain of your Hiranmayena Patrena, of your brilliant effulgence, so that I can see your beautiful face. Jagannatha Swami and Hayana Patagami Bhava to me." So that's the prayer of the devotee. Prabhupada Saraswati, in one of his prayers to Lord Chaitanya, he says, Kaivalya Narakayate. This merging in the impersonal, Kevala. This merging in the impersonal Brahman is like a hell for a devotee, because he likes to see the beautiful face of Lord Gaurachandra and Lord Krishna Chandra. So somebody who has a vision of the Lord Krishna Chandra and Gaurachandra, the golden and the blackish moon, they have not any more interest in meditation or liberation in Brahman. Even if they look in the heart and meditate, they not see the Paramatma or some emptiness in the heart. They actually see the Ishtadev in the heart, Gaurachandra, Krishna Chandra. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Vrindavan, in the beginning, and he built the Krishna Balaram Mandir in 75, 76. So he one time went over the road leading to Loy Bazar. That time it was only a small road, sandy. And there was a little hut. Nothing was inside of that hut. And then Prabhupada called, "This is the Buddha hut," because nothing is inside. So those who have nothing inside of their heart or head, they're empty. Their goal is to make everything empty or zero. Nirvishesa Sunyavadi. This is, they're like stones. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya, when they met some of the Buddhists, they kicked them in the head, because for them it's not different. It's only stone, or if it is soft or hard, they don't feel anything. It's everything empty. This Krishna consciousness, what Srila Prabhupada faithfully brought to the West, following his guru's instruction to preach Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world, was without compromise. He didn't come to learn from the Western how to eat with the fork, the gobble and messer and eating, like one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, who was in the West. He was one of the first one who was not successful, but he only learned the manner or the behavior, how to eat from the Westerners. So, and he introduced this in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada, one time he visited him, he visited him, I don't know. Anyway, and they were eating prasadam together. Yeah, it was in his place. And then he had this fork, and how one eats nowadays. And but Prabhupada, he wanted to eat with the hands, the prasad. And then the Swami, he told the Prabhupada, oh, you were in the West. You didn't learn the behavior of the Westerners, how to eat. And then Prabhupada told, I didn't went to the West to learn their behavior. I went to the West to bring them something. I didn't come to learn from them. I wanted to teach them how to become real cultured, according to Vedic guidelines. So many, they want to imitate Western lifestyle, but Srila Prabhupada didn't want to imitate Western lifestyle. He also didn't reject the Western qualities, and the Western way of life. He only wanted to give them a higher taste, to show them, that there's a higher purpose in life, and that actually you don't have to reject anything in what you have. You only have to learn to engage it in Krishna service for a higher purpose. Yabanda Krishna Sambandhe, Yuktam Vairagya Uchate. This is the real Vairagya. So anyway, now I already gave an introduction, half a lecture before before I spoke the verses. But anyway, it leads to the subject. So therefore, these two verses are very essential. Svaipum shamparodharmo yato bhaktira dokshache ahaitukik apradiyata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation or dharma. Dharma is that what cannot be changed. It is natural. Like fire, dharma of fire it gives light, the heat. Similarly, the dharma of human being is actually to engage in occupational duties. There are different occupational duties. There's Shudra Dharma, there's Kshatriya Dharma, there's Vaishya Dharma, there's Brahmana Dharma, and there is Stri Dharma. So everyone has occupation. But the Parodharma is actually Bhagavatam, to engage in Bhakti Yoga. That's pointed out from very beginning of Sutta Goswami's teachings, replying on the question of the sages. The supreme occupation or dharma for all humanity, doesn't matter if you're Shudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, even outcast, because even an outcast has his dharma according to his occupation. And they're actually very cultured. They're not thieves and rascals like nowadays. The whole world creates just thieves and rascals and degraded people. Even the outcast in the Vedic time was cultured, because everything was connected with each other. There was a harmony. There was a system. And this system is perfect, the Varnashram system. This is perfect, Varnashram Dharma. But above this Varnashram Dharma, Sutta Goswami says, the highest occupation is to engage in loving devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. To the Supreme Lord, Transcendental Lord, who is Adokshaja, Ada Aksha, who cannot be perceived by our material senses. But that doesn't mean that he is not existing. Cannot understand him and see him with our material machines and technology. They will never find out. Therefore, they all are atheists, because they say, oh, with our technology we cannot see him. So they declare there is no God. And the people have no other purpose than just to follow us and follow our technology and our way of life, and just become sense enjoyers. Be happy and don't make anything against our interest. So loving devotional service to Lord, Adokshaja, who is transcendental Lord, he cannot be seen with material senses. Ataksi Krishna Namati Nabhave Graim Indriyai. You cannot understand Krishna with the name and qualities and pastimes with material senses. But when the senses become purified, Sevo Mukhehi Jivado, Svayam Eva Spurati Adha, then the Lord reveals, he gives you Spurati. He gives you a glimpse of his existence. He makes himself visible to you. And how he makes himself visible? By Jnana Chaksha. If your eyes become purified by transcendental knowledge. And if your mind becomes purified from by the chanting of the holy name. So then, therefore, devotional service means practical. It's not theory. It's not just a belief, a faith. It is practical. And here it is stated, and such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Ahaituki apradihata yayatma suprasidati. So even the mind, Vishwanath Chakravarti said, even the mind becomes satisfied. The intellect becomes satisfied. The soul becomes satisfied. Ultimately, the senses become satisfied by Krishna consciousness. Because Srila Prabhupada told, Krishna consciousness means practice, not just theory. Many may be good in speaking, but not good in action. Maybe some are good in action, but not in good in speaking. Of these two, to speak, to act is better than to speak. And if one has both action and speaking in harmony, achar, prachar, then that's perfect. Like there is a, and Prabhupada was in France, 1976 in August. So he had many conversations with his disciples, leading disciples who were managers, leaders, Gurukul teachers. And that was the time when the Bhaktivedanta Library Party was very successful. They traveled all over the world, selling, making a standing order of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam or all of his books, library, Bhaktivedanta Library Party. They mostly were American devotees. So, and they came to Europe, to Africa, to India, all over the world, and were selling or bringing orders, taking orders from the libraries, especially from universities, not for free, for charge. And they went to many, I would say, universities, met many professors, and they gave them books. So Prabhupada didn't want that we are giving the books for free. He wanted that, that the people should give something, at least something. Even to one God brother. One time, one of God brothers came to see Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And he was a very advanced person, he was a Brahmana Vaishnava. So Prabhupada, he was sitting on a lower seat, and he offered him a higher seat because he's from Brahmana group, Vaishnava group, more senior. Yeah. So Prabhupada introduced his books, showed his Bhagavatams to him. And this God brother was very impressed, and he was said, "Oh, I would like to have an order for my ashram." Then Prabhupada told, "Yeah, I'm very gladly will deliver the books to you." So, so then he sent one leading disciple to bring a brochure of Hare Krishna to that ashram. And he told, you know, you only give them the books, my books, if they're ready to pay. If they don't ask, no, just give them this brochure. That's enough. So he brought this brochure, and there was no request. You know, what about the books? We would like to have the books. So they were just satisfied already with the brochure. So Prabhupada was very, very concise in selling books. But the people at least give something. We don't give the books for free, because if we are giving books for free, then they take it for cheap. And then they throw it away, or they send it back to you. But if they pay for it, then they will accept the value, and then they will at least start to read, and will or at least will keep it, and then maybe somebody else will come and read. So anyway, there was one leading disciple of Prabhupada, who was Pugarba Prabhu, who was telling Prabhupada about his success to sell books or how say take orders for the whole set of Prabhupada's books to the professors in different universities in America, Canada, everywhere. And Prabhupada was very happy to hear about their professors' interest. Even one professor he ordered 3 sets of Prabhupada's books. And when his book comes out, in the back they have a bibliography section, references. He will give references to all your books he's writing. He was writing these books about bhakti, and he said, what is and then his professor was asking, can you please, because I'm also writing books, about Indian philosophy and culture. Can you tell me what is a good definition of bhakti for the Indian tradition? So, and then the devotee told, I showed him nectar of devotion, Anyapilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. And he said, oh, yes, this is very good. And he wrote it down and put it in his book. So that means the definition of bhakti is Anyapilasita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam, is actually free of karma and jnana. This is pure bhakti. This is Shuddha bhakti. And only this is called para bhakti. Narada Pancharatra also makes a statement. What is it? That bhakti should be free of upadhis, of bad, I would say, bad habits and false designations, and it should be pure. This is Uttama Bhakti. So Prabhupada replied, till now they took Bhakti as a matter of sentiment, religious science they did not know all over the world. And then Bhugarba, he said he's trying to show that by studying Bhakti in Indian tradition and also in Hebrew tradition. And then Prabhupada said, Bhakti is not achieved by studying. The Bhakti stage is achieved by practice. That is the special significance of our institution, that we are engaging our men in practicing. Therefore, they are getting knowledge, not by reading. So Prabhupada actually wanted that all his followers, they're engaged, not only, I would say, do a little seva sometimes for 15 minutes, half an hour, and then the rest of the day you do whatever you like. So he wanted that everyone is engaged a minimum 8 hours a day in seva, in practice. Huh? We have ninefold process: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving in so many different ways, cooking, distributing book, going for preaching, teaching others about this process, singing, dancing, chanting. This is all we do, not for our own sense gratification, we do for Krishna. And this is Krishna consciousness activity. This is Krishna karma. So so Prabhupada wanted that we all engage in Krishna karma. And Krishna karma means no karma. Not positive, not negative. It is always free of action and reaction. It's completely pure. Everything else has action and reaction, and therefore it binds us to the material world. This is karma, akarma, vikarma, but Krishna karma, that will satisfy Krishna. Therefore, all our engagements are made in such a direction to satisfy Krishna, under the direction of the Acharya, of the spiritual master. We cannot follow my opinion, your opinion. No, we have the direction, and if we follow that, then we have blessing. Then the Lord is recognizing and accepting the service of a devotee. And then the life will become perfect. And this will completely satisfy the self. And then there's no more time for politics, for party spirit. You have no more time to think about yourself and only thinking about how you feel and what you need and what I should eat now today and how I should I dress myself today, how should I act today. So the program is given. And if you follow this program of sadhana bhakti, then that will ultimately lead to perfection. So in the purport to verse 6, I only choose a few sentences from Prabhupada's purport. Here he writes, the Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for a human being. One is called the pravriti marg, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called the nivritti marg, or the path of renunciation. So pravriti, nivritti. So pravriti means the path of sense gratification. So Varnashram Dharma, the giving in charity, the opening hospitals, education programs on the material platform, and acting on the material platform for one's own sense gratification, but still according to scripture, dana, tapa, like that, gyan, this is okay, but it is pravriti mark, it still keeps in the material world. So the path that Sylvyasadev and Narad Muni actually brought from Parampara is Nivritti mark. It's the path where you purely engage in Krishna service without selfish motivation. And that's a downcoming path where the Lord, by the rope of Parampara, is uplifting you from the nations of material existence, or ocean of birth and death. Then there's another remarkable sentence here. We have a purposely denote the dharma as occupation, because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. All living beings' sustenance of existence is to coordinate one's activities with one's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot or center of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. It's the supreme Nitya, Nityanam, Chaitanas, Chaitanam, Eko Bahunam, Yo Vividadati Kaman. So Dharma means that what actually gives us sustenance, what actually gives us life. So therefore the life and soul of a living entity is not just to eat and to act and to sleep. This is necessarily for the body, but for the body to keep fit. But the sustenance, life and soul of the soul is the supreme soul, the super soul. Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam. Therefore, one of them is the supreme, other one is his servant. And as long as we're not serving the Lord and connect ourselves through bhakti yoga with him and act according to his direction, we are always misguided and following whatever propaganda or PR is fashioned or modern in the time. So, but Krishna consciousness is timeless, it is eternal. Somebody again has mic on. So here, Srila Prabhupada continues, each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. So the part and parcel cannot be happy if it is separated from the complete. Part of partial of a machine, if it is separated of machine, becomes useless. That's a famous example. The relation is one of the servant and the served. Seva, Sevya, Sevaka. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy and can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditioned state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. Again, this satisfaction is emphasized here. Bhakti Yoga has different stages, beginning with Adhau Shraddha up to Bhava and Prema. And the beginning, faith is tested. It's not always easy and pleasurable for the senses and mind to engage in devotional service. So therefore we have our ups and downs. But if we keep faithful in the association of Guru, Krishna, and the Vaishnavas and Sadhana Bhakti program process, we become we can make gradual progress to the stage of practicing free of main anarthas, anartha nivritti, and then ultimately come to the point of full faith, fixed faith. And if the fixed faith stage is established, from there we can actually make further progress in ruchi, in taste, and attaining ashakti, attachment and greed in the process of devotional service. Process of devotional service remains the same in sadhana bhakti in Vaidya or in raga. Basic is same. It's a ninefold process that never should be given up and engage in another way. So, so from when ruchi and ashakti is there, then ultimately it becomes bhava and prema, rati, transcendental love, ecstasy to Krishna becomes manifest in the devotee's heart. And that is actually the goal or the fruit of bhakti, prema bhakti. And that focus we should always keep in mind. We should never think, oh, now just let me be satisfied with this basic program of bhakti, and then anything else, it's too far for me, and it's anyway not possible. Yes, you're right. It's very far for you, and it's very not possible if you think like that. But if you have the faith and in the process of Guru Sadhu Shastra, then we heard the impossible will become possible, and even that what you consider possible now, that little bhakti yoga, what you follow now, maybe after some time will become impossible. It will become too difficult for you because you take it up only on the external range of the mind and the senses. Don't take it deeper. And then it becomes a burden, and then you give it up. Give up chanting, give up deity worship, give up association with devotees, give up your connection with Guru. Oh, he's anyway a heavy guy. And he always tells the same, and like that and that. There's so many excuses why we should not connect with Guru or with senior devotees and guide ourselves, and so that we can make further advancement. And we stagnate and stay in our own world of mind and become satisfied with a little drop of bhakti, what we think I can taste now. But there's actually a whole ocean of bhakti waiting. but we have to follow guidelines of Rupa Goswami, Rupa Nuga, what he gives in his book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Srila Prabhupada summarized in his Nectar of Devotion. Then you can actually learn the whole science of Bhakti. And even if we are not there now, we have to read it again and again and absorb our mind. Because if we're not absorbing our mind in this relationship with Krishna, then we have to find out some sambandha, some relation with Maya in this material world. It's unavoidable. If you meditate about mundane sense objects, and then naturally, we are in this. We stay in the samsara. But if you go in connection with Krishna and only meditate and think and act in Krishna consciousness, then more and more this becomes a reality, and then Maya becomes naturally a distaste. We become naturally detached. You don't have to learn detachment and tapasya in an artificial way, like the yogis and the tyagis. You don't have to do like that. You just go positively progressing in Bhakti Yoga process, hearing, chanting, remembering, serving in association of devotees. Then naturally, Jnana Vairagya will become a byproduct. Otherwise, it's always Bhoga Yaga, sometimes rejecting and then accepting again what we reject. This is not a very good process, this Bhoga Yaga. This is a mental concoction. Sometimes we reject something and then later on we take the rejection back and go on with the chewing. This is frustration. This is a frustrating life then. Then we can never really progress in or advancement in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada here concludes his purport from the verse 6. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction. And actually, this I already read. Yeah. So that was the conclusion of his purport. And Vishwanath Chakravarti also, he makes statement saying, so this verse 6, Savai Pumsham Parodamo, answers actually the first two questions of the sages. What is the final essence of all scriptures? That essence is the highest dharma for anyone who is a human being, Pumsham, meaning hearing and chanting about the Lord. It is said in the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, text 22, Etavan eva lokesmin pumsam dharma parasmrita. Again, mic on. Bhakti Yoga Bhagavati Tan Nama Grahanadibi. That is the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. By this statement, the word para, along with dharma, paradharma, is in the present verse can indicate only Bhakti Yoga. Etavan eva indicates exclusion of other processes as paradharma. The essence of scripture is Bhakti Yoga, by which Prema Bhakti, Yatha Bhakti, appears. It arises without cause, ahaituki. And then he goes on further. Shushushu, quoting verse from 1st canto, 2nd chapter, text 16. Shushushu shadhanasya vasudeva katharuji syanmahat sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishevanat. both wise-born sages. By serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudev Katha. Such things as charity, vows, austerity, sacrifices, and selfless performance of duties are to some degree causes of bhakti in sattva guna, practice as an anga of jnana, but they are not causes of pure bhakti, because it is said, Yamna yogena sankyena dana prata tapodvarai Vakya svadhyaya sanyasyai prapnuyat yatnavan api. 11th canto, 12th chapter, text 9. It is stated, even though one engages with great endeavor in the mystic yoga system, philosophical speculation, charity, vows, penances, ritualistic sacrifices, teachings of Vedic mantras to others, personal study of the Vedas, or the renounced order of life, still one cannot achieve me. So therefore, bhakti, pure bhakti is only caused by bhakti. And bhakti is always situated in the pure bhakta, who practices, who has bhakti in his heart. That's further stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti. Moreover, the cause of a devotee's mercy is but the bhakti present in the heart of the devotee. Because without that bhakti in his heart, there is no possibility of his mercy arising in all ways. Therefore, bhakti is the cause of bhakti. Therefore, bhakti is said to be without cause. From the point of view of bhakti, the devotee, that means bhakta, bhakti, the process, the Lord, bhaktya, or the object of bhakti, and his mercy, anugraha, are not separated items. Even though bhakti appears by bhakti, thus being self-manifesting, it does not negate the fact that bhakti's self-manifesting nature comes from the Lord. This bhakti cannot be prevented by anything, apratihata. This is mentioned in the following verse. So that means yasya prasada bhagava prasada. By mercy of Krishna, receive the mercy of his representative, the devotee, the Vaishnava, who carries the Lord's bhakti and kindness and mercy in his heart, and because of that, the devotee can give the mercy. The devotee cannot say, it is my mercy, it is actually the Lord's mercy. So whatever a devotee can give, he can only give because the Lord gives first. And if you have nothing to give, you cannot give. So whatever give materially, it's caused by karma. But the pure bhakti, it's causeless. It's given by the Lord who bestows the mercy to his devotee, who is full faith and fully devoted to himself. And that's natural. It's not that the Lord is partial. He naturally gives it to those who are most faithful and most loving to him, not to a rascal. But the devotee is even more merciful than the Lord, because the devotee, he can meet so many other people, and even those who are maybe skeptical, due to the association of a devotee, will become devotee. And so in this way, bhakti causes bhakti, and the bhakti is manifested by the mercy of the Lord and his bhakti energy in the heart of a devotee. And the devotee, naturally, he doesn't want to keep bhakti only for himself. He wants to share it and try to make others also bhakta and devoted to the Lord. And that's the way, as Krishna says, those who are teaching this bhakti process or this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in the Gita, who is that is very confidential to my devotee, they're very dear to me. Not only in that time, but also in the future. So Krishna is very pleased if one tries to give this process of Krishna according to your own words and opportunities to others. So that's the process. Don't keep it for yourself, because what you keep for yourself, you will forget. But if you share it with others, then it becomes actually more alive. Then Gyan becomes Vigyan. Then your practice become even more realized practice. Not only following or imitating, but actually it becomes realized. And so that's the first. It is Haituki, that means bhakti has no cause. And this apratihata, that means it is nothing can prevent, nobody can stop it. It is bhakti is like is an energy. It always stays in flow, like a river. Example here is given. Matguna shruti matrena mai sarva kuhasha shaye manogatir avichi na yata gangam bhazong bundhao. Just as the water of the Ganga flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. That's from Kapila Dev teachings. 3rd Canto 29 chapter, text 11. So like a river, a Ganga river, always water in general always flows the easiest way downwards. Nothing can stop it. Water cannot be stopped, the flow of water. So the same way, the flow of bhakti cannot be stopped. It flows to the ocean of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. So then we go to the next verse, 1 to 7. Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Gyanam Chayat Ahaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Again, by rendering devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge, Gyan, and detachment, Vairagya, from the world. Purport. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to be something like material, emotional affairs may argue that in the revealed scriptures, sacrifice, charity, austerity, knowledge, mystic powers, and similar other processes of transcendental realization are recommended. According to them, bhakti or devotional service of the Lord is meant for those who cannot perform the high-grade activities. That's already discussed with Bougard Baudard in France. Prabhupada made a statement, even the scientists now, some of them who become devotional and interested in the process of bhakti, they recognize the extraordinary power of bhakti and also the power of the bhakta, of a devotee, like an acharya, like Srila Prabhupada, who had so much knowledge and realization, and so many of these scholars and people who met Prabhupada and who read Prabhupada's books, they were so much, impressed the Prabhupada just out of one word or a sentence or a half a sentence or of one sloka, he can make a purport for 3 pages and more, or he can speak a half an hour or an hour about it. And then Srila Prabhupada, he told, actually one can tell much more, no? But we sometimes have not the capacity for it to grasp everything. So every word actually from Bhagavatam can be expanded or extended in volumes of books. So what to speak of a sentence or a sloka or a half a sloka, or even one word of a sloka. It has so much significance. And every word, every verse from the Bhagavatam can be understood and explained in so many different ways and angles of view, so that everyone actually can find satisfaction in studying these Bhagavata scriptures. Generally, they say that the Bhakti cult is meant for the Shudras, Vaishyas, and the less intelligent class. But that is not the actual fact. The Bhakti cult is the topmost of all transcendental activities, and therefore it is simultaneously sublime and easy. It is sublime for the pure devotees, or for those who are faithfully surrendered and dedicated to it, who are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord, and it is easy for the neophyte who are just on the threshold of the house of Bhakti. Entrance, threshold means in the entrance door to the Bhakti house or Bhakti palace. Even if you are just a neophyte, Kanishta, or not even Kanishta, but if you are at the beginning of in the house of Bhakti, as soon you enter a temple or start to come in contact with devotees and read books and chant Hare Krishna, even without any experience, one can make progress. So it is sublime for those who are already in the elevated stage, and it is sublime also for those who are neophytes or newcomers. To achieve the contact of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is a great science, and it is open for all living beings, including the Shudras, Vaishyas, women, and even those lower than the low-born Shudras. So what to speak of the high-class men, like the qualified Brahmanas and the great self-realized kings. The other high-grade activities designated as sacrifice, charity, austerity, etc., are all corollary factors. That means, I would say, decorations following the pure and scientific Bhakti cult. It's only an how to say, something that is dependent on Bhakti. If a sacrifice, charity, austerity is not connected with Bhakti, it is useless. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya rejected many points spoken by Ramananda Roy. Only when he started to speak about pure Bhakti and Raga and ultimately Prema Bhakti, then step by step or verse by verse, Lord Chaitanya became more and more happy and satisfied and even ecstatic. And in the end, he embraced Ramananda Roy and thanked him, that he reminded him about the highest goal of life, to follow in the footsteps of the gopis in Vrindavan and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and engaging in attaining the level of Prema Bhakti by following in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So, and tears were flowing from Lord Chaitanya and also from Ramananda Roy. Everyone felt ecstatic. So Lord Chaitanya was very happy. Although he is the Acharya himself, is Jagat Guru himself, he empowered Ramananda Roy who became like a puppet, like a marionette, and he just spoke. And the Lord was asking the questions, and Ramananda Roy gave the answer. So that's the mercy of the Lord. Although the Lord cannot do everything himself, but he becomes more happy if his devotees are glorified, and if his devotees become successful in spreading Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is very rarely given by the Lord himself, but it is easily achieved and given by the association of a bhakta or a devotee. So here Prabhupada continues in his purport to 127. The principles of knowledge and detachment, Gyan Vairagya, are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual, and the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. That's actually the testing stone. That's the test. How much you become detached from Maya or worldly activities, and how much you become attached to Krishna or to Krishna consciousness process. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert or inactive altogether, as men with a poor fund of knowledge think. Naishkarma means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material form does not mean nullifying the positive form. Don't make the positive form zero. God is always God, he remains God, although he expands himself everywhere in so many other forms and in so many energies and varieties, but he still stays Purnam, the complete. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. Therefore, with the development of the bhakti cult, with the application of positive service to the positive form, one naturally becomes detached from inferior things and becomes attached to superior things. Similarly, the bhakti cult, being the supermost occupation, parodharma of the living being, leads him out of material sense enjoyment. That is the sign of a pure devotee. He's not a fool, nor is he engaged in the inferior energies, nor does he have has he material values. This is not possible by dry reasoning. It actually happens by the grace of the Almighty. In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all other good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc., as described in the Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj in the 5th canto to his prayers to Nrsingadev. But one who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of the bhakti cult. Therefore, bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being. So Prahlad Maharaj in his prayers, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvai gunas tatra samasate suraha arava bhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorate nasati dhavato bahi. It's from 5th canto, 18th chapter, text 12. All the devas and their exalted qualities, such as dharma, jnana, and vairagya become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities, even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor for maintaining his family and relatives. He must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? There's a list given here based on Shastra by Srila Prabhupada in his purport. The Vaishnava has 26 qualities, and he's he's very kind to everyone. He does not make anyone his enemy. He's truthful. He's equal to everyone. No one can find any fault in him. He's magnanimous. He's mild. He's always clean. He's without possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He's very peaceful. He is always surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desires. He's very meek. He's steady. He controls the senses, does not eat more than required. He is influenced by the Lord's illusory, and he's not influenced by Lord's illusory energy. He offers respect to everyone, does not desire any respect to himself. He is very grave and he is very merciful. He is friendly, he is poetic, he is expert, and he is silent. Silent means not speaking nonsense. If you speak about Krishna, you can speak whole day and you are silent. And if you are so-called silent, not speaking anything, but your mind is so much speaking, then you're actually not silent. You're very loud. The whole universe is disturbed because of that. In another verse before that, Prahlad Maharaj, he prays or says, Yat Sangha Laptam Nicha Virya Vaibhavam Tirtam Muhu Samsprishitam Himanasam Haratya Chonta Shrutivir Gatong Gacham Kovaina Sevata Mukunda Vikramam. This is from 5th canto, 18th chapter, text 11. By associating with persons whom the personality of Godhead Mukunda is the all in all, it means everything, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. The activities of Mukunda, Krishna, are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associates with the Lord. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, in the form of sound vibrations, like Krishna Katha and Hare Krishna mantra or the other Krishna mantras, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contamination. And he concludes, it's more powerful than taking bath of the Ganga, because by taking bath in the Ganga, you have to become purified, and again you become polluted, and again take a bath. But by chanting and hearing about Krishna, the association of devotees, this is a continuous process and is always with you. Yeah, you don't have to make complicated and expensive travel tours, sojourneys on pilgrimage to take bath. It is right here. You can establish in your own home, in wherever you are. It is not dependent. So Krishna Bhakti is practical everywhere, and it's therefore the process especially emphasized at this age. So there are rarely big temples around to go pilgrimage places are quite far away. And even if you go there, you maybe become cheated and frustrated because of the atmosphere, the polluted atmosphere. But if you stay in association of devotees, even if you have only one good association with the devotee, and sit together, chant together, hear together, speak together about Krishna, going out and distribute books, go on bhajan, harinam. Doesn't mean many. You can even clap the hands and play kartal and sing a melodious in harmony. At least try to endeavor to get it in harmony, in rhythm. So then this always people will hear about it. Then you become purified and enthused, and others become purified and may become enthused. So this Sankirtan and Harinam Kirtan is very powerful, recommended process for this age. So how is your concentration? You still follow, or should I stop?
We follow Guru Maharaj.
We are following, please.
Okay. Good. Okay. From Vishwanath Chakravarti, I like to read a few sentences from his commentary to 127, to this verse. Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochita. Another meaning of Bhakti Yoga Prayochita is Bhakti Yoga has been made the only goal, Prayojana. So there's Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha means to understand who is Krishna, who are you, what is your relationship. This is Sambandha. Abhideya means the practice, described by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's bhakti, devotional service in practice, sadhana bhakti. So this is the way. If you know what is the goal, Krishna, and who are you? I'm spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna, and the path to Krishna is Bhakti Yoga. So that's Sambandha Abhideya. And then Prayojana, the ultimate goal is of Bhakti, is Prayojana, is Prema Bhakti. So separate endeavor for attaining knowledge and detachment, Gyan Vairagya, are not necessary in the practice of Bhakti. For Bhakti itself produces them very quickly, Ashu. At the time of performing Bhakti, they are attained. For it is said, Bhakti Paresha Anubhava Viraktir Anyatra Chaisha Drika Eka Kala Prabhatya Manasya Yatashnata Syus Tushti Pushti Kshut Apayo Nugasam. So, devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things, these three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and the relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. 11th Canto, 2nd chapter, text 42. The Acharya continues, there is an objection that if one possesses knowledge, one attains liberation. In answer to this, the verse says that this knowledge is a height to come without motivation for liberation, because liberation is a motivation. I engage in devotional service because I like to become liberated. This is motivation. but the devotee has not even a motivation to attain liberation. That's stated here. Ahaitukam comes from hetu, meaning cause or purpose, just as one can say he lives for eating. This means he lives with the goal of eating. The people, their goal of life is only eating. There are other people's of life is only working. There are other people's goal of life is only sleeping. And so on and so on. And others, they have as a profession, as goal of life, only to speculate. So therefore, Ahaitukam makes it clear. It is free of motivation for selfish motivation. Thus, in this verse, Jnanam Ahaitukam means knowledge without the goal of liberation. It means work without the goal just to eat. We don't live to eat. We eat so that we can live, but it's not the goal. It's only a means so that we can serve. Sleeping also, we don't live for sleeping, but sleeping is necessary so that we can rejuvenate ourselves for 7-8 hours by taking rest, so that you can get fresh energy to serve Krishna and the spiritual master's mission. So that's it. Oversleeping, overeating, over-endeavoring, overworking like an ass, that's not recommended. It destroys even bhakti. It's unfavorable bhakti. That's stated in Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita. So we should follow the process of favorable bhakti. This is not even taking liberation in consideration. Therefore, by practicing bhakti, in which knowledge also manifests without the goal of liberation, the liberation of merging does not take place. Knowledge in this case means knowledge and experience of the Lord's form, qualities, and sweetness. So liberation for a devotee means liberation in Krishna consciousness. That means to become, to eternally engage in devotional service, in hearing, chanting, remembering, and serving Krishna, and in the association of devotees in this world, in another world, or in the spiritual world. The same process is going on. It is not changed. It always remains the same. Of course, there's more and more realization, more and more blissful, more and more ecstasy. And this is unending. It's anandam buddhi vardhanam. Material sense gratification is anandam buddhi, boom down. That means it's degradation, going back to the animals. And that is what's going on nowadays. So this is said in the fourth canto. Knowledge in this case means knowledge of and experience of the Lord's form, qualities, and sweetness. So in the fourth canto, 29th chapter, text 37, it is stated, I think that's Narada Muni, Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Samahita Satrichinena Vairagyam Jnanam Chanaya Ishyati. So that's stated here. The stage of Prema Bhakti, completely dedicated to Vasudev, produces complete jnana and vairagya as a byproduct. One should practice bhakti with only that goal in mind, Satrichi Nena, devoid of desires for liberation and or other goals. The next verse shows that this type of bhakti is the cause of another type of bhakti. So achirat eva racharshe syat achyutta kathashraya shrinvata shatatanasya nityada syat adiyata O saintly king, one who hears and studies with faith very soon attains the shelter of the topics of the Lord to attain prema. Achyuta Katha means topics about Krishna. And thus it is established in this verse that bhakti alone functions as both the cause and the goal, and not knowledge or detachment. So that's the end of the Vishwanath Thakur commentary. So I also like to read some from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada from New Vrindavan, September 5th, 72. Also about this verse. So he I only read few sentences or paragraphs. So in this way, try to understand the philosophy of God, that is Bhagavat. Bhagavata discourse means to understand the philosophy of God. The religion means this religion means first-class religion. One who has learned to love God. This is first-class religion. That is first class. And how to love God, how to practice that love. That is Bhakti Yoga. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochita. Janayasi Asya Vairagyam. Vairagyam, the word means two things required in human life: knowledge and renunciation. Renunciation, try to understand what is renunciation. Just like we, the members of the Krishna society, we have renounced all material activities. That's all. That is renouncement. Our activities are surrounding only about Krishna. We do not do anything except Krishna's business. We are publishing magazines, that is Krishna. We are publishing books, that is Krishna. We are going to the press, that is for Krishna. We are going to the market, that is for Krishna. We are cooking, that is for Krishna. We are living only for Krishna. We are dancing for Krishna. We are chanting for Krishna. So we have renounced. The same things are there in the material life: publishing books, or going to the press, typing or microphone, or dancing, chanting. These are all meant to engage in service and for the pleasure of Krishna. But the materialists, they don't do for Krishna. That is therefore called sense gratification. And the devotee who is engaged in Krishna's service, even 24 hours a day, seems to be very active, like a materialist. But because he does in the consciousness everything for Krishna or for the mission of the spiritual master and spreading Krishna consciousness, this is Krishna karma. It's already mentioned before, huh? So there's another nice statement here. So therefore, dharma begins from human life, not from animal. Dharma is the law given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like laws are given by the state, similarly, the dharma is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not man-made dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagava pranitam. And it is meant for the human beings, not for the animals. But at the present moment, they are trying to go back to the animal. Therefore, dharma is neglected. Or practically, there is no dharma at all. Very nice. This 1972. So 50 years ago. Huh? But the ultimate goal of life is to attain Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, it is stated here: Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochitaha Janayati Asya Vairagyam Ganachayat Aitukam. So I only read few sentences. All kinds of cheating, religious systems are swept away, thrown away, kicked out, prochita. Prochita means kicked out. Prokrishta, rupina, uchita, just like we sweeping over some room to get out the dust. Similarly, dusty, hazy system of religion, so-called religion, is completely thrown away. Dharma prochita kaitava, tra parama niyamatsaranam satam, vastavam vastu, vedyam atra jivadam. This is meant for parama niyamatsaranam. These are dharma, parama niyamatsaranam. Parama niyamatsaram means Vaishnava, free of envy. Vaishnava is not envious. They are very merciful, just like the Goswamis. Lokanam hitakarino, nana shastra vicharanayaka nipuno, sat dharma samstapako, lokanam hitakarino. Tribhuane, Vande Rupa Sanatana, Raghuigo, Sichiva Gopalako. This dharma, Vaishnava dharma, Rupa Nuga dharma, following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, that is meant for para upakar. All other dharmas, any dharma, they execute dharma for personal benefit, just like in Christian religion, they pray to God. Everyone, not only Christians, Hindus, Muslims, they go to God to pray something for personal gain. Oh God, give us our daily bread. So the same praise is offered by everyone under different shape only. So in the calculation of Srimad Bhagavatam, such dharmas, system of dharma, which is meant for sense gratification or just meant for maintenance of body without steady devotional service, it's by me, personal interest, that is called kaitava dharma, cheating dharma, prochita kaitava atra. In this connection, Sridhar Swami also, he commented, Artha moksha vans cha nirastami. Those who are aspiring after liberation, that is also rejected. Why? There are so many great saintly persons, Gyanis, philosophers, they are trying to get liberation. And they're all cheating. Yes, it is cheating. Either cheating yourself and cheating others, or both. Vyasadeva says, Kaitava cheating, and the great commentator like Sridhar Swami is the Adi commentator of Bhagavatam. He also gives his confirmation that up to moksha pancha, that means desire for moksha, that is a cheating. Why is it cheating? That is explained by Kaviraj Goswami in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Bhakta Niskama Attaiva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. So Bhukti Mukti Siddhi. Bhukti means karmis, those who are aspiring. Mukti means those who are aspiring for liberation. And Siddhi means the yogis who try to attain Siddha or mystical perfections. But we are not after, because they do it for their own sense gratification or selfishness, they cannot be Shanti. So they're Ashanta. But we are going after Shanti, the Vaishnavas. We are not for Ashanti. Therefore, in the previous verse, it has been explained, Yayatma suprasidati, yenatma suprasidati. What is that? Savai pumsham parodharmo, yato bhakvira dokshache. Unless you come to the platform of bhakti, devotional service, there is no question of Shanti. That is not possible. After all, everyone is hankering after Shanti. So if for achieving Shanti, we follow some path which is full of Ashanti, like killing animals, doing so much violences in the name of we are more powerful, or we are the rulers, or we are great, or we are human beings, so therefore we can use violence against other living entities unnecessarily. So then how we can expect Shanti or peace in this world? Therefore, Bhagavata says, Dharma prochita kaita vatra. I'm searching after Shanti, but I'm accepting, say, for karma. Karma, ordinary karma. The person is working hard day and night, going here and there. So there, how we can speak of Shanti. But because he's a fool, therefore working very hard, when he gets some money, he thinks it is Shanti, that money pacifies my heart and gives me peaceful feeling for some time. He thinks it is Shanti. But it is not Shanti, because to get that money, he has to undergo so much Ashanti. But because they are flatterers, the modern civilization, they want Shanti. And if somebody is chanting or is engaged in Bhakti Yoga, they do not like it. They say, oh, they are escaping. They're escaping from their duties. They run away from their social duties. So actual Shanti, if anyone wants Shanti, as it is described in the previous verse, you can execute any type of religious system. It does not matter. But if it is leading you to the ultimate goal of life, bhakti, then you are successful. Why? The next verse says, Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayochita. Bhakti Yoga, Adokshacha. In the previous verse, it has been explained, Adokshacha. And who is that Adokshacha? Adokshacha means that you cannot realize by your sense perception. He is called Adokshacha. That's Krishna. But with the purified senses, you can see him. The Lord will reveal himself. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatumi. And now for the conclusion of this lecture. So this definition, Shuddha Bhakti, Avyabhacharini Bhakti, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, as it is stated by Lord Chaitanya Madhya Lila 19, chapter text 167, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. Rupa Goswami is following Mahaprabhu's footprints. Therefore, Shuddha Bhakti, Avyabhicharini Bhakti is defined here. But that is also explained in the Gita. Mamchayo vibhacharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samaditaitam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. 14th chapter, text 26. Anyone who is engaged in pure devotional service under the lotus feet of Vasudeva Krishna is already liberated. He does not require for liberation separately, he is already liberated. Prabhupada many times he told, you are liberated because you follow the liberated. Now your duty is just to liberate others. Then that's perfection. Don't think about your own liberation. So, yeah, that's all for today, or for this time, or this month, for Serbian and for those who joined our Bhagavad Katha. Mr. Vaigre Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So I see there's some questions arising here up by Parushika, right? Or Vanamavi?
No, Mahaparushika.
Mahaparushika, he always has good questions. Because he's a thoughtful man.
Oh, Krishna. Guru Maharaj. I spent quite a lot yesterday with Vanamali discussing on different topics. And now I have a question about something that I'm really not able to understand, and I need the help. You mentioned the Kaitava Dharma, the cheating religion.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how the religious persons, let's say me, I would like to be religious, but I'm very, but I could continue to cheat myself for a long time. So now my question is about how the Lord, we want to come close to the Lord, Krishna. I'm not able to see how the Lord is sanctioning my bad behavior, my bad, cheating myself in the process of most pure religion. It looks to me that we could continue so long by cheating ourselves that we are religious and that we are proper, whatever. So I cannot understand how the Lord, like I saw in our ISKCON, how we are sanctioning each other. Don't do it like this, do it like that. But how the Lord Krishna is doing to us, sometimes it looks that he could allow us for a long time to be improper in our acts, in our thoughts. So this is, I'm not able to understand how Lord is sanctioning me or others. That's my question.
You cannot understand how the Lord is sanctioning you.
To not cheat, to not be on the path of Kaitava Dharma, cheating religion.
So you cannot understand that the end that could not understand of your question.
For example, the parent, if I see that my kid is wrong, I'm immediately sanctioning, or I'm a little bit empathic and I give it for some time and try to get my child on the proper way. But it looks to me that sometimes Lord can.
I understand. But we should not consider God is material. He doesn't belong to any material party, parent, this side or that side, or nation or political party. They may sanctioning, but the Lord is not sanctioning. He's actually always loving. He's merciful. Because if he would like to sanction, if he would be the angry God, he would already destroy the whole world immediately. No, nowadays everyone is here, like Jagaya, Madhaya, even lower, because they were at least Brahmanas. But now we are even lower than Jagaya, Madhaya. We are lower than the worm in the stool, because we are so degraded. But the Lord is so merciful. That's one of his great quality of his love and his tolerance also. Even if they're deviating, he understands. It's like a loving father. Although the children are maybe a rascal sometimes, he still loves them. Of course, nowadays, parents don't know anymore to be real parents because they're not trained. They were not even, the problem is in their own childhood, they were not trained to become a child and grow up, and therefore how they can become parents, because their parents were not properly taking care of them, they're mistreating them. Later on, they do the same with you. It's a psychological problem. And it goes on generation for generation, but this has nothing to do with the spiritual life. Even Guru is not chastising you or threatening you or kicking you away. He's very tolerant. Because Krishna and Guru, they know our weaknesses. They maybe know better and more than you. And a few days ago, I posted one statement by Prabhupada where he told that Krishna is so merciful, especially in the form of the holy name. He's more merciful than the person Krishna. The more merciful than the person Krishna is Krishna's name. Because even if you chant Krishna's name with aparat, with offenses, still don't give it up. You should continue. You should never give it up. the chanting, even if you're a rascal, even if you're committing offenses. Of course, later on, Prabhupada told we should not commit offenses. We should try to do our best to avoid offenses. But even if you commit offenses sometimes, the main thing is never give up the process of chanting. Always continue. Then the greatest offense is to stop chanting at all. So we should always continue with chanting and with this process. Although sometimes we know we are very cruel with each other, with others, even with ourselves. Of course, sometimes, mostly we are not so much critical with ourselves, but more with others. Although it should be opposite, we should be more concerned about ourselves to improve. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj often told, don't see the fault in others, see the fault in yourself. Because the fault what you see in others is mostly the fault what is in yourself. And therefore we become intolerant. Because, but it's more easy, you know, to try to correct others than yourself. And that's the self-cheat. That's the kaitava dharma. That's where we're cheating actually ourselves, because we always like to correct others and tell them what they should do, and we see everything from my point of view. On our diseases, we only can accept that what I follow, everyone else has to follow. But in this way, we never can get peace in the world. And also no peace in ourselves, of course. That's the main. And therefore, also no peace in the world. But if you're accepting Krishna's program, Krishna's advice to surrender unto him, and to work cooperatively and well-wishing and favorable in devotional service and to other living entities, not only devotees, also other living entities, then we have no chance to make progress towards Prema Bhakti. And Prema Bhakti is still quite far away, although it's the most near, because everyone likes love. Parama Purushika, you also like to love and to be beloved, right? Therefore, you try to give your best with your mother, with your daughter, with everyone near and dear around you, and with your authority increase, although sometimes it's not very pleasing and very nice to you. But actually you do it in a well-wishing and a loving way, because you like to, I would say, because you're a kind person, a heartful person, and but many times it is not appreciated or replied or not coming back. But still, even if it is not coming back, we should not give up to love. My point is, either you have the love or you don't have it, because love you cannot learn. Everyone knows. So either you have it or you don't have it. And Gyan and Vairagya, maybe you can do it very perfectly and very nicely, you know, but if there is no love in the heart, it will not attract Krishna. It will not attract anyone around you. It will only make you more puffed up. But if you're actually a real loving person and a kind person, then like a devotee actually is and should be from nature, it's not something that is learned, it is already there. Then where the question is from where actually this love is coming from, and this loving propensity, so the answer is it comes from God. Because God is most loving and is most lovingly object of everyone's life. But most of the creation or of the people in the creation don't appreciate it, or they're in ignorance about it. and those who are now gradually waking up to Krishna consciousness and to loving devotional service in reciprocation and in harmony with Krishna, with God, and with God's devotees, and actually with the whole creation in a favorable way. Then if this waking up process is actually there, this is the beginning. That's the beginning. In the morning you wake up, right? So it's not the goal. You only wake up so that you can start activities, and you always have to make you have your own choice. In the morning you wake up with which leg you want to rise, with the left or with the right. With the right purpose or with the leftish purpose, with the cheating purpose or with actually something what is good for everyone, beneficial for everyone, and especially pleasing to God and pleasing to Guru and the Vaishnavas. So we have every morning this choice when we rise, when we wake up. So therefore, only to wake up is not a sign that you have actually woke up. So therefore, waking up means waking up in Krishna consciousness, coming to the sun, and coming in connection with the sun. And if you come in connection with the sun, if you come from darkness, then you see everything near you and around you. Okay?
Thank you so much, dear Gurudev, for very personal answer. Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna. Hey, Rasa, Vilasini.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Happy to see you from the town over.
Yes, last time I missed it because they were saying we will not have any vegetables for a whole month for July. So I had to run to buy everything for Vyasa Puja and everything. I was thinking, oh my God, but they still have vegetables. I don't know when they will run out. Fresh produce, actually.
Everywhere they do something.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I was thinking, I'm not good in words, but I will try to express myself. You were saying how one who gives the mercy is not giving from himself, it's giving what he's receiving. And I was thinking that there is a difference. I can see the difference in some spiritual masters, and I can see the difference in you. You're not withholding that mercy. You are always giving. You are so selfless, and you.
Hey, Rasa, it's not Vyasa Puja day today. You have a question?
Yes, this is preparation. This is like a preparation. Okay. And in the words you were speaking, just while my hand was raised, is just confirming this, because you really know how to love Guru Maharaj. This is showing the purity.
You should ask your question.
My question was, while you were talking about
duality.
I was thinking about Mahapurushika's question, and I was wondering, I was thinking that Mahapurushika and us, I would say that we are not following the Kaitava Dharma, because this is the pure, and our intention is pure, and the process is pure. But we are not pure, and we are in the beginning. Maybe we are cheating ourselves, but this is like a child sicknesses. But because the path is right, I wouldn't say it's Kaitava Dharma, but Kaitava Dharma is walking on the wrong path. Is that right, Guru Maharaj?
This is right, yes. Because bhakti, even if it is impure, it is not Kaitava Dharma.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
In the beginning, everything in bhakti is mixed with with impurity, and also with jnana, vairagya, with karma, with selfish purposes and desires. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami says, Akama sarva kamava, now this famous verse, moksha kama udharati, tivrena bhakti yogena yachita purusham param. It doesn't matter if you have desire or no desire, or desire for liberation. So you are where you are now. So you have to only understand what you are actually want, or what in which stage you are, and then you are approaching the Lord, and you worship Him, and in Bhakti Yoga, and then all your desires will become fulfilled, even your kama, akama, sarva kama, moksha kama. So Krishna is not forcing himself. You have to, surrender unto him and come back to him. Of course, this is would be pleasing for Krishna, because we are his eternal part and parcels, and actually we belong to him. But you know, the Brahman also belongs to him. The material world also belongs to him. So wherever you feel happy as living entity, the Lord is not stopping you to go there. So he can arrange everything for you to attain heavenly planets, or any kind of enjoyment, or liberation, and whatever. Siddhis. But to become free of old age, disease, and death, and ultimately to come back to Krishna. So we should follow the advice of what Prabhupada has given us. Like there was one magician, I remember one story. One magician who came to Srila Prabhupada in 1976 in Vrindavan, in his room, and he showed some of his magic tricks. And Prabhupada enjoyed it like anything, like a small child, in the circus. So he enjoyed all the tricks, how he make things appearing and disappearing and appearing again from another place. So these typical tricks. And the Prabhupada, he was laughing and kidding, and he was so happy, like jovial, like a small child. But then in the end, Prabhupada suddenly he became grave. That's Acharya, you see. Then he suddenly became grave, and then he asked the magician, "So, can you stop old age? Can you make old age disappear?" He says, "No." And Prabhupada said, "Can you make this disease disappear?" The magician told, "No." And Prabhupada told him, "And you can, make death disappear? That means no more death." Then the magician said, "No." And Prabhupada told, "Just see, that means I'm the better magician than you." So because the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, he could, solve birth, old age, disease, and death. And to take birth again in this material world, but because he gave us the proper medicine. Kevala Ananda Kanda, Bhakti Kanda. Okay, Rasa?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Who else is here? Shaktiya, partially.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. So in previous verse 126, you mentioned that we have Sevaka, Seva, and Sevya. And now, or other time, you also mention like Bhakti, Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhaktya. Is it the same?
No,
Can we consider?
That's the same.
Okay. that was not clear completely to me.
Because as a devotee, the servant, there is bhakti, the process of service, and the enjoyer of bhakti is bhaktya or bhaktya labhya. Krishna, who is the enjoyer, who is actually eager for our service, for our seva, is bhaktya labhya. Or bhakti is enjoyer Bhagavan. Guru is Sevya Bhagavan, and the Lord is, how we say, enjoyer Bhagavan. Sanskrit word, I cannot remember now. He's Bhakta, so he's the enjoyer. And we are the servants. Okay? So there's therefore in these three, there's always a harmony. It's not a disagreement between Bhakta, Bhakti, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, the enjoyer of Bhakti. Actually, bhakti is the only means how to make the Lord subservient to his devotee. We hear from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Yeah, okay, there's another question.
Yes, can I ask Guru Maharaj?
Bhakti Granta, okay, good.
I have actually two, but if we have the time, of course. So the first one is you said a few times during the class that we should practice devotional service in the association of the devotees. But I want to ask you how to properly understand it, because mostly we are doing alone, worshipping, chanting, reading, and sometimes we have the association of devotees, not all the time. So does it count? Does it have any effect what we are doing alone? And yes, how to put it in the proper context in association of the devotees, that phrase.
Association with devotees means also associating by reading Prabhupada's books or books written by devotees, being in contact with devotees, if not physically, by chats, therefore we have these chats nowadays. Where you can associate and get inspiration from Guru and Vaishnavas who are exchanging. There's so many chats also amongst the, I would say, devotees themselves without Guru. Although mostly this gets a little political. Therefore, it is always better to have the chats with Guru, because there is always somebody who can maybe stop you to make politics and disagreements. So therefore, Ishtagosti actually is actually quite an Ishtagosti is not possible for everyone. Because sometimes we think, oh, Ishtagosti is everyone, we come together and we're just speaking about everything and anything and God and the world. And then many times it becomes offensive and ends in quarreling and dissatisfaction in the end. And sometimes devotees walk out and don't come again. So they're not happy with this kind of Ishta-Goshti. Ishta actually means the Lord in the heart. And Goshti means association. If a group comes together, then that means we're speaking about Krishna, about devotional service, how to please the Lord and for his satisfaction. And this is based on the verse, Bodhais param parasparam kataitas chamam nitya tushanti cham. What is the verse? Teja evam anukampatam hamma jnana champa nashamya. There's also not the one. Tesham satati yuktanam pachatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. That's also not the one. Machita, yeah, the one. Machita matkata prana Bodhasparam Kata, Bodhasparam Kata.
Bodhayanta Parasparam.
Parasparam Katayantas Chamam Nitya Tushyanti Cha Ramante Cha. That means actually this is Ishtagosti. That means the both is meeting together to speak and hear about Krishna, to exchange relationships and loving relationships and amongst each other based in Krishna consciousness, on seva, how to inspire each other in devotional service, encouraging each other. This is actually Ishtagosti. This is Tushti and Ramante. It gives you satisfaction and makes everyone very happy. Then I remember these Ishtagosis we had, many times in Serbia, in the old temple there. This was sometimes a real headache. Those of you who were there can maybe remember.
Yes, it's true.
But now you don't have this headache, but maybe you don't have now so many devotees. But what's the use if you have many devotees only quarrel with each other in the end? And have not, I would say, in harmony. So then better to live separate and then remember the good old time or also the good new time and make a better, learn from the history and make a better, not always repeating the same from history. That actually should not go on as devotee. We should learn from history, from material history, Purana, from the material history, and learn about devotional life. This is always new and fresh. This is like new blood. It's new water from the river. It's always very pleasing. But if we're always bathing in the same old water, then it's diseased condition. We should not bathe in water where what is stale and where so many people already bathed in it, and it's not fresh. These water or swimming pools are called karma pools. If you like to, absorb all the karma and impurities from the people bathing in it, then okay. And you're like a Jesus, absorbing the karma from everyone. So therefore, if you take a bath, you should bath in fresh water, in the river with fresh water, or in the sea, ocean or sea, because that water is always rejuvenated, it's always fresh, and this gives energy. So therefore, if you keep Bhakti always fresh, the river of Bhakti, and always stay in this, I would say, like it is a new day and new. Every day is something completely sensational, something completely new. It's not nothing from yesterday, because whatever you did yesterday, it's yesterday. But you live now, and you live that. What you actually did yesterday, you bring you in the now, and you go on with that, And so in this way, you keep the day fresh and always new. And this is actually Bhakti. Bhakti never becomes sterile, never becomes old or old-fashioned or fading out, uninteresting. It's always sensational. That means it inspires your senses, your mind, the soul, everything, Okay, Praktikranta, is it clear, or you have another question?
Yes, it's very clear, Guru Maharaj. And another question is about something you have spoken toward the end of the class. You were reading from Srila Prabhupada what he said, and in one moment he told that people accuse the devotees that they are escaping from reality, from work and obligations just to surrender to Krishna. And of course, we have heard it many years ago, and maybe we accepted it on a laughing way when we was younger, but when the time is passing by, many of us see that we are not able to surrender completely as we thought when we was younger. So we need to make some adjustment also, and to take up maybe again some material responsibilities and, how we said, obligations. And is it the bad, or is it the sign of that we cannot surrender completely to Krishna, or is it just the natural process of maturation, that we became more realistic where we are in spiritual life and material life, and to make much better balance in order to serve more, how we said, productively on the long term?
Bhakti Granta, your disease, or many of devotees like you, disease is you always think you have to take more responsibility in the organization to become recognized and be appreciated and beloved, you know. And then if it not turns out like that, you become frustrated. So you have an eternal obligation. This is called Jaiva Dharma. The Jiva's Dharma is to engage in devotional service. You have your duties, your obligations, whole life, eternal. You make the promise to Guru, not to institution. Institution may come and go, but the devotional service stays, the holy name stays. Prabhupada's instructions and the philosophy of Shastra stays. Everything else comes and goes, but that is eternal. Your relationship with Krishna, and there it stays. And there you have to work on. There you have to take obligation and remember the obligation and work in that direction. And this you can do and start right now. Don't have to postpone and attempt now to become go in high position somewhere. And then again you drop on the nose. I know it's difficult for you to accept. Okay?
Yes, it's okay. Yes, I'm thinking about it to properly understand it.
Yeah. You have so many responsibilities in your place. That's your Prabhupada Desh. That means your place where you are now. It's in Serbia, and you have your home there. You have your congregation. You have your wife. You have your friends. And you have Prabhupada Murti there. You have your deities there. I think 24 hours are not even enough to fulfill all your obligations there. And you want to take more obligation?
No, this is more than enough. What I have at the moment. Even with that, I struggle how to put in proper order everything.
Actually, you should I would say sort out your obligation on the focus on your main obligation, and then you feel more light, you know. Then you feel not overburdened, you know, by even the little weight what you or burden what you carry. My heart, oh my this, oh my that, you know. It's not the heart, it's you who overburden yourself with unnecessary things that you actually don't need. So kick it out. Kaitava Dharma. Or I would say, not necessary. It's not favorable for your life, for your devotional service. Kick it away and focus that what actually gives you a pleasure, what gives you happiness and Krishna consciousness. But I know it's difficult for you. But I still have to tell it or repeat it.
Yes, and thank you for telling and repeating, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, it's my duty, you know.
Yes. And it's always helpful.
You know, let's see.
Yeah.
Good. Somebody else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah.
Vanamali.
Okay. Then the last one, Vanamali, and then we stop because we're already a little over time.
Yes, I'm enjoying your speech. Nice. My question is about the mind. You told the mind likes to be peaceful and he is originally in the mode of goodness. And then you also mentioned these 26 qualities of a devotee. Is this, can we say if we reach these 26 qualities, then then the mind again is in the mode, in his original position? Can we make a reverence to these 26 qualities
Maybe
to get the mind?
Okay. No, maybe you notice somewhere in the middle or in the first half of these 26 qualities, there's one quality is called Krishnaika Sharanam. That means full surrender to Krishna. And from these 26, this is the main quality. If you don't have this main quality of fully surrender to Krishna, Krishnaika Sharanam, I mean Sharanagati. Now I'm sending prayers by Bhaktivinoda Thakur every day of his famous Sharanagati prayers. So this Sharanagati we have to work on. This is the main quality of all 26. If you're missing this quality and you have 25 others qualities, that's all zero. It's not attracting Krishna because anyway you have no interest in attracting Krishna. You're only interested in showing up your 25 qualities. So there may be many stars in the sky, you know, or moons, you know, but if there's no sun, no, you will not see it. It will not become visible. So obvious, these 25 qualities are in the mode of goodness. They're not transcendental. It's not if you have these 25 qualities that you are a transcendentalist. Only if you have the Krishnaika Sharanam plus any of these qualities, even if you don't make it up to 25, then you're Vaishnava. And all qualities will follow one after another if you become a devotee. But if you're working on the 25 qualities without bhakti, without devotional service to Krishna, this is a very difficult endeavor. And it's materialistic, selfish. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good then, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your attention. And hopefully see you in 1 month again, or in Russian, Qatar again. And yeah.
Shri Rohinisuta Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So Bhaktigranta, you contact me again in 1 month, huh?
Yes, Guru.
Last weekend in the month.
Okay.
Good.